Would you look at this card, the Divine Masculine? I gotta say, he is feeling it now. He's feeling that soul bond. He's feeling the soul mirror. He's feeling that magnetic pull back to his inner truth. But is he ready to finally choose this love over fear? Because I've got to say, Divine Feminine, you are no longer waiting. You are witnessing. You are weighing all of that truth over illusion. You are holding space without compromising your worth and your value. And let's face it, healing isn't always soft, okay? Healing can be very painful, right? And sometimes that heart must break in order to break us free. And so there's real pain here this weekend, but so is the love that is rising beneath the pain. And so this weekend truly is a turning point. There is a karmic unraveling. There is a soul reckoning with Venus conjunct Chiron. So if you want to know what this means for your twin flame journey, hit that like button and let's get right into this message. Hey, good morning. Welcome in. Welcome back, everybody. It is Laura, and we are going to break down these energies this weekend for the Twin Flame Collective. We do have Venus in Aries in a conjunction to Chiron in Aries. And at the time of this conjunction in my local area, Eastern Standard Time, you can see right up there on the screen, it is going to be happening in the 7th house of Aries. And so you think of Venus, it does equate to love, our values, our relationships. It's a very feminine energy in a very masculine zodiac sign. We have Chiron, which is our wounds. It is our healing. It is our soul level pain. It is our sacred teacher. And with it being in Aries, there is an identity wound, I feel, that needs to be transformed. And I do feel this is sacred, divine, feminine healing. And I do feel there's going to be a lot of sacred feminine rage when it comes to this initiation energy. Aries is bold. It's initiatory energy. It's raw. It is self-expression. It is that inner masculine fire that the Divine Feminine Collective is being asked to harness in order to find and call to the forefront that inner warrior energy. And so I do feel the Emperor energy is very much tied to this transit this weekend. I was shown the energy of the Tower, and so this is all about disruption. This is all about awakening. This is all about breaking free from something that is no longer aligned with you for your personal journey. And the Ace of Swords is truth. So there's going to be likely a very revealing epiphany coming to light in the energies this weekend, and we are going to break it down because the faded energy of the Wheel of Fortune also appeared for me channeling these energies. And so I do feel the Twin Flame Collective is at that faded turning point. So let's break down this transit and let's talk about what this means for the Twin Flame Collective, because there is a sacred purge. There is healing of all of these old relational wounds, how we relate to self, how we relate to other. This is connected to our identity, our personal autonomy, our self-worth, and any fears of rejection, I feel, or abandonment, especially in these soul connections. And so Chiron is going to activate that wound of self. Are you enough just as you are? So where do you need to accept that you are inherently worthy just as you are? Because when it conjuncts Venus in that house of partnerships, because the 7th house is the house of partnerships, this wound is going to surface through that mirroring energy of the counterpart. And so there could be triggering contact. There could be energetic telepathy. There could be a lot of energies this weekend exposing all of these hidden vulnerabilities, okay? There's going to be heart healing activations. And in order to heal the heart, we do have to purge the heart of all of the old beliefs, all of the old patterns connected to love, connected to worth. They all have to be stripped away so we can ground in a next level feeling of worthiness. There's going to be this karmic turning point, I feel. And the Wheel of Fortune energy is really indicating a lot of divine orchestration, right? Because it's a major. And so the Tower moment is going to break down that egoic control and all of these outdated dynamics. They do have to collapse. And there's going to be breakthroughs, especially connected to self-love and communication, right? There's going to be clarity. There's going to be a rebirth energy for sure. And this really is the conjunction that is initiating a brand new 8-year relationship healing cycle. And it's going to clear the path for more authentic union templates within the collective. And this really is asking us to ground in love without any of the masks. And so Divine Feminine, you are healing your worth through that mirror of desire this weekend. And so all of this unworthiness around needing to be chosen or needing to be desired, it does have to be transmuted, right? You do have to transmute that overgiving in relationships, because we should never have to overgive to prove our worth of receiving love in return. And so I do feel deep, sacred, feminine rage, deep, sacred, feminine grief connected to that abandonment and all of this emotional unavailability that prevents the Divine Feminine from really confronting where she has sacrificed herself for love. We've all sacrificed ourselves for love or a relationship, and this is the awakening of that sovereignty connected to our self-worth. And so the tarot lens with this energy really is saying, you need to release that victim consciousness. You need to release that victim mentality, right? So when we initiate this rebirth by fire, when we activate the violet flame, when we reignite that inner fire, we have to reclaim our power. And we do that by harnessing our inner masculine energy, that emperor energy, right? And so boundaries, sacred authority, that is what is being called of from the Divine Feminine Collective in these energies this weekend. This transit isn't going to be exact until Sunday, but let me tell you, these energies have been building for several days now. And so there's going to be clarity about the difference of what true love is and trauma bonding, right? A lot of the relationships out there in the collective, they are actually trauma bonds. It's not actually a divine union. There's a lot of people out there in the collective in cycles of running and chasing, calling it twin flame, and it is the farthest thing from twin flame. It is actually a trauma bond. And so there's going to be clarity about that, right? And so pain is not proof that you are unworthy either, right? And we all have to go through painful cycles. We all have to be shown where we have abandoned ourselves just to stay connected to people, right? And so you are forging the fire, Divine Feminine. That is how you do that, by igniting your radiance. And you have to be aligned with your truth, not your wounds, in order to call in that high vibrational, unconditional, loving match for you, right? Divine Masculine, this is a major energy this weekend of that initiation into that heart-centered leadership, right? And so there is a lot of fear of vulnerability connected to the Divine Masculine Collective. There's a lot of emotional avoidance, right, in the Masculine Collective, where they avoid intimacy. They don't want to heal their past heartbreaks. They band-aid over all of these unhealed past heartbreaks by just jumping to the next woman, and they never actually heal or self-reflect or look at their own relationship patterns. There's a lot of blame, there's a lot of projection, and so you can't go from one ending to the next. 2 weeks in between a relationship is not enough time to heal. Heck, 6 months isn't really enough time to heal. And so a lot of the masculines in the collective, they avoid doing this deep healing work. They avoid the heartbreak by band-aiding it with another woman. And so all of this is going to be boiling to the surface, connected to the suppressed guilt, the suppressed shame, all around these past relational choices that has been avoided up until this point. And so the Divine Masculine Collective is being cracked open emotionally. And if they've been armored, if they've been in that emperor shadowy side of their energy of being cold, controlling, emotionally repressing themselves, the Chiron energy is going to awaken that inner child wounding, I feel, this weekend, especially around the need for them to always be strong and to be unfeeling in order to feel safe, or in order to feel like they will be respected, right? And so there's a lot crumbling connected to the false identities and the false image, I feel, that a lot of the masculines project outwardly, especially in these karmic relationships and karmic partnerships. And there's going to be an epiphany about what love really means, I feel, for a lot of the Divine Masculines this weekend. And so there is a realignment for the masculine connected to their soul path, and there's going to be sudden changes, and there is going to be emotional breakdowns, I feel. And so they have been suffering, I do feel, in silence, or the need to feel like everything has to be perfect. But the divine masculine's heart really is the greatest weapon. It's time for the masculine to return to that heart-centered leadership. And so I was told to remind everybody, honor your triggers. We do not heal by avoiding the triggers. We need to honor the triggers. We need to look at the triggers, and we need to go deeper in order to reveal the hidden wound. So the person that is triggering you usually isn't the person holding the gun that created the wound. And so the triggers are not there to punish you. They are there to get you to look into that wound, because you cannot heal it if you do not look at it and if you do not feel it. And so we are all being called to speak our truth without fear. Speak your truth. If people leave your life because you've spoken your truth, that says more about you than it does about them. Clarity will be through a lot of compassionate communication, I feel, this weekend. And so embrace the tower moments. The tower comes to set you free. It breaks you free. And so whatever is falling apart, whatever is leaving your life, whether it's a connection, a job, a belief, all of this has been creating an illusion in your life that has been blocking this divine counterpart union. And so take that personal action. Aries asks us to be accountable for ourselves and to take that personal action. And so Aries is calling for that bold, authentic movement, right? Healing is never, ever passive. It is always, always active. And so I do feel this transit is really allowing us to heal the past, but we have to do that by loving ourselves just as we are. We are all inherently worthy, not till we lose 10 more pounds, not till this happens or that happens, right? We're always inherently worthy just as we are, right? And so shift that self-perception, because every wound that we tap into is that doorway to deepen a union within ourselves and externally from us, right? As within, so without. And so there's a couple of aspects you can see up on the screen here. We're going to break it down. We do see the semi-square happening to the sun in Gemini. We do have the sextile happening to Jupiter, which is also in Gemini. We do have a square to the 10th house in Cancer and the 4th house in Capricorn. We have the trine happening in this conjunction between both Mars and the moon in Leo. So the moon will be transiting through Leo this weekend. That's a pretty fiery energy for sure. And it's going to be in a quincunx aspect to the South Node in Virgo. And so the South Node in Virgo is triggering all of these old soul contracts to the surface. And that energy of the South Node is actually sitting in the 12th house. You can see the 12th house sitting in Virgo at 22 degrees 20, the energy of the Fool and the Judgment card, which is loud. And so there is a new beginning here. So let's break it down bit by bit, okay? The semi-square to the sun in Gemini, there's Justice energy, there's 8 of Wands energy, and so the truth does want to come out very quickly. And the heart may be very cautious about this truth, right? And so there's tension. Semi-squares is tension, but it's not as tense as a square. It's a semi-square. And so there is a karmic balancing, I feel, happening with that alignment. There's actually a misalignment, and that misalignment is probably going to be exposed. And communication is going to feel pressurized for sure. It's going to be triggering, but these triggers are necessary to get to the next leg of the journey. And so there's going to be fast moving truth challenges. There's going to be challenges connected to all of these old relationship patterns, either with one or both of the twins. It's going to depend where you're at on the journey, but there's going to be this pressure, I feel, for whichever side of the connection has been silent or has been a ghost, to speak now or regret it later. Like we are in that timeline portal of speak now or you miss your opportunity, because we are moving forward. A lot of the divine feminines are progressing forward with or without the counterpart. That sextile to Jupiter in Gemini. So you think of Gemini. Gemini expands, right? It is an expansive energy. And in Gemini, it expands that search for truth, that search for that higher divine perspective, right? And so the Venus-Chiron energy that is healing is supporting this with this broader understanding of love, right? Gemini is bringing in that broader understanding of love. And the 2 of Wands energy is kind of sitting there, right? And so there's a vision, the energy of the vision of the next leg of the journey, that soul-aligned choice that we need to make. And we're at that pivot point, because the 2 of Wands is the decision point, right? And so a lot of the twins are being called to choose expansion over the fear. And I get it. Fear It's just an illusion though. So work through your fears, because everything we've ever wanted is going to be on the other side of that fear. And so this really is the pivot point, right? To open up to healing, to open up to that new path of union. If you can reframe your pain and turn it into your purpose. And so the quincunx, I want to talk about that quincunx. Because the quincunx to the South Node in Virgo. So it's basically an inconjunct aspect, right? And so there's a very awkward, karmic, mismatched energy there. And it's sitting in the 12th house. The 12th house is the house of spirituality. It's the house of our subconscious. It's the house of our hidden enemies, right? And so something isn't quite aligning there, and you're going to be feeling that connected to some type of past soulmate contract. The South Node is like what we have to release this lifetime. There's something here that needs to be released connected to karma, and it very well could be perfectionism. It could be over-analysis paralysis. The Fool energy connected to this wants you to take that leap of faith, but Virgo is like, but what if I fail? My darling, what if you fly? Right? And so that's the chance we have to take. We're not always guaranteed something, but the answer is always going to be no if you don't take that risk, if you don't take that leap of faith. And so the Judgment card is implying almost like an energy of like a soul reckoning going on there. And I do feel a King of Wands, Three of Swords energy very prominently sitting in that 12th house. And so where are you staying small to feel safe? Because the illusion of safety is going to crumble. And if we don't let go of these old beliefs, healing will never reach that completion, right? And I don't believe we ever fully complete the healing journey, but we do have to get to a certain level of being healed before we can call in that that union, that reciprocal union. And so the leap of faith is actually part of the healing. Now let's talk about the trine to the energy of Mars and Leo and the moon in Leo. And so there's a flowing fire with the trine energy. It's a heart-aligned, sacred trine asking to dive deep into this relational healing. And so the Mars and Leo energy is the confident energy. It's the pursuit energy. It's the pursuit of what the heart truly desires. And the world, the completion energy connected to the Mars, the Four of Wands is that sacred union, that twin flame celebration energy. And you are being energetically supported to step into your power this weekend. And we do that by taking accountability, by taking soul-aligned action, and to aligning to that long-term vision of what union means for you. The moon in Leo, this is going to be very emotional, I feel. There could be a lot of inner child wounding being activated, connected to the moon in Leo. The moon in Leo can be very energized with courage, but the moon can also represent fears and our shadow self, right? It is connected to the mother. So there could be a deep-seated mother wound connected to the mother line that is being activated. And so there's a message there. I do feel there's a message being delivered of the masculine wanting to step into that embodiment of the King of Wands. And so there's a need to be emotionally brave. I do think that's key in these energies this weekend, because the divine masculine is being urged to lead with his heart, not with the mask, right? Not with the mask of avoidance. And so let's talk about the square to the 10th house and the 4th house, because I do think this is very significant. The 4th house represents our vulnerability. It's our home. It's our deep roots. And the 10th house is our responsibility. It's our status. It is our external identity. And it does challenge our public image versus our emotional foundation. And so this is really the trigger point, I want to say, that is reinforcing that longing for home for a lot of the divine masculines and within the sacred union. And so there's going to be a push-pull dynamic of who you're expected to be and who you really want to be. And so this is all going to kind of rear its head, I feel, this weekend in these energies where these old structures must fall in order to make room for that true divine union. And so there's restless movement. There's sudden passion. There's going to be messages. There's going to be unexpected returns. There's going to be unexpected departures. The masculine is feeling the call for sure, but he doesn't know how to actually fully land it, is what I'm thinking. And that desire for reconnection, along with the struggle for that consistency, right? And so I feel the feminine's in a state of emotional detachment because of all of the delays. And she's not even sure whether she wants to accept the cup or not. And that's often when the divine masculine appears, okay, is after the awakening, when the feminine kind of puts the connection on hold and is completely detached. And so I think the divine feminine is bored. She's done with the karmic pattern. She wants that longing for that divine spark again. And she's all done seeking love out of that wounded expression. And so right now I feel the twins are standing at that intersection of healing and revelations. And so the wounds that do hurt the most are the keys to your becoming. And so what we avoid the most usually is what we need to face in order to level up. And so we're being asked to divinely step up this weekend, and it will look like a lot of chaos, but the chaos is actually, I want to say, coded with the awakening. And so action is calling the counterparts. Truth is rising to the surface. So don't numb it out. Lean into it is the message today. So let's go a little bit further with the tarot, with the oracle. If you are curious about learning more about your birth chart and you're new to astrology, I do have a free guide, comment free guide down below. It's like the 15 basics of understanding your birth chart. It might help you follow along with my astrology portion of the messages, but we're going to dig deeper into the cards and let's see what the cards have to say for the weekend energies. All right, let's break down these oracle, these tarot cards, and we will connect it to the Venus-Chiron conjunction that is taking place this weekend in Aries, because there is a deeper metaphysical layer and meaning to all of these energies with the cards that did come out. So the card for the divine masculine is the card of the self. I love this card. This is the energy of the soul. It is the energy of being the observer. There could be some type of egoic entanglement here, but this does kind of bring forward this energy of sacred detachment, right? And so I do believe the divine masculine is being asked to observe who he is in relationship to others. Is he reacting from ego? Is he reacting from his wounds? Or is he reacting from that soul energy? And so I do feel the fiery energy of the moon and Mars in the trine to this conjunction is really activating that heart, right? You see the pearl energy kind of at that heart center. And what I thought was interesting was the pearl energy came through for the feminine too. And so that pearl energy, there's an activation of the heart, of the identity, where the masculine is being prompted to take action from this deep inner knowing rather than coming from a place of reactive pride. And that quincunx to the South Node in Virgo, I do feel this is detaching, where a lot of the divine masculines need to detach from perfectionism or any self-critical patterns. And so I do feel he's being called to awaken to this distinction between his ego versus his soul. So is he the stew or is he the chef, right? And I feel the mirroring energy of the Chiron teaching this weekend is kind of being stirred in this unconscious pain or this energy that is kind of now consciously directing his healing. And so I do feel this is like a forceful energy with that semi-square to the sun in Gemini, forcing him to confront his inner narrative and how it shapes the mask that he wears in the world, right? And so with that Jupiter and Gemini sextile in this conjunction, there is help available for the masculine connected to truth, knowledge, and that new self-concept. And so there's a fire inside with the masculine right now, and it's really not meant to consume him, but it's meant to refine him. And so there's still a part of him that I feel is hiding behind either performance or protection. And so he does need to observe himself, not to judge himself, but to kind of awaken to that higher perspective, right? And so divine feminine, you got the Castle card. Beautiful energy, but there's luxury here, there's illusion here, there's, I want to say, maybe even spiritual dormancy. You see her eyes are closed. There's beauty veiled, I want to say, by security. And so this really is a card of all of your soul wounds around love, worth, and the illusion of safety. And so with that square energy to the Cancer Capricorn axis between the 4th and the 10th house, there is a battle for you, divine feminine, I feel, between emotional authenticity of the 4th house and that external achievement of the 10th house. And so there's an undercurrent here of like the 4 of Cups energy, where there's this longing beneath everything in the material world. You want more than that surface level of satisfaction, right? So I think you are navigating the pain. You have built yourself a life, I want to say. You have built a new inner identity. And I think everything looks beautiful to the outside world, but maybe emotionally you're feeling a little bit empty and you're feeling spiritually asleep. And so the Castle card for me today is saying there's a reflection here of that square between Venus-Chiron, Cancer, Capricorn axis, showing you the cost of appearances when depth is missing, right? And so it's like you're waking up to your true desires. It's not just what success looks like to the outside world or what stability kind of looks like to the outside world. And so there is a shattering of like the castle, right? We can't build castles in the sky. We can't build castles on sand. And so I kind of feel there's a shattering energy. There's a clarity energy kind of slicing through any fantasies right now. And so what you truly long for, I feel at the soul level, is that real sense of home, separate from any gilded cages. And so I want to remind you, divine feminine, the fantasy of what this connection was is never the goal. Getting back to your soul essence is always the goal of this journey. And so what might appear abundant, or if your life does appear abundant, and maybe your life is abundant, there is an emptiness there with this abundance. And so go deeper this weekend, divine feminine, because your true palace is going to be made of presence. presence, okay? The combined energy, the pilgrim card. And so isn't this a pilgrim, right? This journey is a pilgrimage. And so this represents the sacred journey between the twins, the spiritual searching energy. It represents that refusal to settle, right? I know I will never settle again. There also is this apprenticeship energy. And so all of our relationships serve as mirrors for healing the self. And so we might encounter many mirroring relationships. Does that mean it's actually twin flame or divine counterpart? Absolutely not. The ultimate mirror will bring forward that energy to move you forward with that emotional purpose. Okay, and so this is a card of leaving behind the comfort zone of what you've always known, and moving beyond any societal expectations or templates of what love and life should look like. And so this does reflect, I feel, the entire collective's movement through this soul level rite of passage. We all awaken and predestined timing. And so I do feel both the divine feminine and the masculine are being pulled out of those illusions, right? The castle, the ego, and into that unknown terrain of authentic union. And what does that look like, right? So this is a union that is guided by inner truth. And motion, taking action, is the medicine that we need. And so discomfort, I think, is the lesson this weekend. And so the journey really is about an initiation. And so take the leap of faith. Move through the restless energy, even if you don't have the clarity. Because there's this energy, I want to say, of fated momentum. And so let's talk about the bottom of the deck. Because we did get the apocalypse card and we got the dead end card. And so stop going down these dead end streets. Okay, stop the endless cycle, right? Because there's going to be revelation, there's going to be devastation, there's going to be truth unveiled, and I do feel sacred grief this weekend. And so the wounded love energy is going to be exposed. There could be a sudden breakdown of an illusion of a false relationship or just an old identity of self. There's going to be foundations shaken right down to the ground in order for the twins to realign with destiny. And any of this unfulfilled longing energy is going to be like an explosion, and it will create movement, and it will likely also create an emotional collapse. And so when truth is revealed, it cuts, right? It will cut deep. And so the apocalypse for me is a very sacred unmasking of energy, right? There's energy under all of these layers, what has been hidden, whether it's feelings, truth, karmic dynamics, false identities. It will not remain buried this weekend. The tower is collapsing it all. There's a judgment day energy of the false self and these false realities, these false relationship templates. And from the grief and the chaos does emerge a new form of truth. This is like the phoenix processing, right? The painful, raw, honest truth. And so it's a card of undoing, not as a form of punishment, but I want to say as a form of prophecy. So let what is false fall out of your life, fall away and leave your life. The storm is coming, whether you want it to or not. And so the only thing that will remain after this weekend will be what is real, what is truth, what is honest. So let's go a little bit further and walk through each section of this tarot spread. We will start by unmasking the layers of the divine masculine cards first. And so the first card out for the DM this weekend, the Two of Cups. Speaks of union, soul bond, emotional alignment. It says partnership, commitment, reconciliation on the card. And so there's a woundedness around partnership and worth. There's emotional courage, awakening to desire. There's a realization of the soul contract and truth that needs to come forward in some form of communication. He knows who his person is. Let's just put it that way. The divine masculine knows who his person is. He feels the call towards that reconciliation and that unity, but with that comes the pain of what has been broken, right? And so there is an ending here. There's a rock bottom energy, there's a release, there's recovery, there's freedom. And so there's an ego death energy happening for the divine masculine. There's a dismantling of the false stories because it's divine time. And so the breakdown of all of the old structures. He's definitely undergoing a very painful spiritual ego death and a realization of how his past choices and his silence have hurt this connection. And I do think it's liberating, but it's painful. So with all endings do come that new beginning. We got the Page of Wands. And there's the feather. And so this is divinely guided, right? There's excitement. There's rebirth after the ending. There's this messenger energy coming through. This is the emotional bravery, the inner child awakening, right? Pages represent children. And so there is sudden movement towards a reconnection here, I feel, because there's an underlying Knight of Wands energy, I feel, with this card. This is the divine masculine spiritual rebirth. After the death of the illusion, like the Ten of Swords, comes the reawakening of hope, curiosity, and that courage to reach out. He's being guided to reach out. And so the last card out for the masculine this weekend is the Two of Wands, the Two of Fire. That is the planning, that is the choice, that is the crossroads, the cosmic crossroads. And so I think he's being strategic with this new vision. There is soul expansion and partnership here. There is the navigating of the journey. There's this energy too where no longer settling, right, feels safe. So that stasis is no longer going to feel safe anymore. And so he is kind of starting to look at the future right now and wondering how to bridge that gap in order to be where it is that he wants to be, which I do feel is with you, Divine Feminine. So let's get into your spread here, Divine Feminine. So the first card out for you, I love it. It's a major. You got a couple majors right out the gate. And it is the card of justice. It's karma. It's clarity. It's spiritual equilibrium. And so the semi-square to Venus-Chiron with that sun, I feel, is really saying there's a resolution of these karmic cycles. There's a resolution of overgiving or suppression. You are the karmic balancer. You are the equalizer now. And so you see the truth clearly. You see the truth clearly, Divine Feminine, and you hold this calm, unemotional wisdom is what I'm feeling, especially about karmic fairness and these soul contracts, right? And then the sun. I love it. It's the awakening. It's the joy. It's the truth revealed. It's success. It's recognition. It's that mental clarity, that soul level recognition. There's an unveiling of the light from the shadow where you are the radiant catalyst. He sees you clearly now, Divine Feminine. You are embodying your divine authenticity. Your light both triggers and inspires not only the Divine Masculine's awakening, but so many other people's awakening, because you are the Queen of Truth. You are the Queen of Swords. This is boundaries. This is sovereignty. This is discernment. You are brilliant. You are experienced. You are a truth speaker. You are a healer. And so your relational wounds help to sharpen your inner truth, right? And so I think things are very sharp around you right now, where you are choosing that soul-aligned clarity over any illusion. And so I feel throat energy. It's like, let's face it, you have been burned before, right, Divine Feminine? I know I've been burned before, many more times than I'd like to admit. And now you protect your peace. I know I protect my peace. Nobody's coming in to disturb the peace that I have built for my life. And so you can protect your peace and you will not be burned again, all while remaining open to truth and fairness. It's like you're clear, but you're not cold, right? You're not cold. And so the Three of Wands for you is your goals. It's the expansion of the vision. And so you are gaining that momentum with that sense of purpose. And I do believe it's because of that trine to Mars in Leo. And there's expansion through this honest expectation, right? And so we hear all the time, no expectations, then you won't get disappointed. But we do have to set the bar high. We do have to have certain expectations. Honest expectations, right? Ones that are practical expectations, right? This is you. You know your ships are coming in. Hold the vision of union, but don't settle for less than what the soul's truth is, right? You're not going to settle for less, is how I'm reading that. And so combined energies, Six of Wands, there is victory, there's recognition, there's breakthrough, there's celebration, and there is victorious momentum through the heart. And so this is the energy, I want to say, of the returned hero. And so union is possible. I do think both of the twins are moving towards a certain breakthrough this weekend, but the journey is definitely forged in the moments of clarity, right? And so I do feel there is an emotional offer coming. There could be vulnerability. There could be an intuitive reach out. You could be feeling this energy intuitively. This is the brave voice from the hurt place, right? This is what that is, the Page of Cups. And so I do feel there is an offer here. It's spiritual, it's tender. There could be a message coming. It could be in dream. It could be a heart-to-heart conversation. Vulnerability is never weakness. It really is the medicine for healing all kinds of things and issues, right? And so we go from the Page of Cups to the King of Cups. There is emotional maturity being gained and the compassion of these energies this weekend, because there is deep love here, right? And I do feel this does represent the divine masculine in his becoming through this Chiron fire, right? And the healed masculine is no longer the Knight of Wands in that shadowy element, right? He is grounded, he is true, he is honest, he is trustworthy, he is compassionate, he is understanding. And so I do feel the connection, it is ready to mature this weekend, but both of the twins do have to stay centered in love, and we have to stop reacting from our trauma responses, because the last two cards out was the Three of Swords with the Ace of Cups. And so there's heartbreak, there's healing, there's new love from the old pain. And this is a pain that does become the portal for the new beginning, for the restart, if that emotional truth can be honored, right? And so pain has to be a part of the path. It really does, but it doesn't have to keep defining the path. And so forgiveness and openness do create that space for that real union, okay? So let's break down the bottom of the deck, because it's kind of like the hidden, the subconscious. So we get the High Priestess, and I want to say the soul knows, even if the mind is doubting, the hidden truths are coming to light. And there is a reunion here being built step by step, but we can't rush it, because things that are meant to last will be built slowly. Slowly progress, be patient. There's commitment here. And then we get the Death card. And so there is the shedding, the rebirth of the ego, the illusions, the karmic cycles, they are dying. I see it. I can see it happening. And there is space being made for the new life in this connection. And so there's choices here this weekend. There definitely are choices here this weekend with the Seven of Cups. And so we do have choices. We always have choices, but we can't overanalyze and we cannot procrastinate. And so clear the confusion, because not all paths are going to lead you down the pathway of truth. And so discernment is essential in the energies this weekend, because there is something reshaping under the surface as these illusions die and that clarity rises. There is a new foundation being planted, being integrated. And so I do feel there's a lot shifting on the path this weekend. So let's close it out by weaving together the last two oracle messages that came out. And we do get cause and effect. It says you are aware that the love you create in your thoughts is an agent of change and the foundation of your results. This directly speaks to the karmic law of cause and effect. Inner alignment, there's the principle of energetic responsibility coming through. There's the Justice card, I feel, connected to the Divine Feminine, who is the anchor here, who is the mirror of the law of reciprocity. And so everything both the twins have thought, believed, feared, or avoided has created this current energetic dynamic. And so this energy is exposing the old causes, which would be the wounds, the defenses, the unconscious behaviors, and now ask both of the twins to become the conscious creators of the new outcome, right? And so there is an echo of the Ten of Swords with the Divine Masculine here, ending the toxic cycles, choosing the new path, and the Divine Feminine envisioning that soul-aligned future. And so it kind of is connected, I want to say, to the Apocalypse card, where the veil of the real source is kind of being revealed as to the cause, the hidden stories, the shadow fears, and the ego attachments. And so if you don't like the effect of your choices, shift the cause, right? The universe never punishes. The universe is always reflecting your thoughts, your intentions, and your energetic truth. It's kind of writing your future and your timeline. And so if you don't like what you're getting, change the effect, right? And then the last card is unity. And so we do need to understand that love shared with another is amplified, and it does have a ripple effect across the universe. And so the twins are here to come into union, to ripple that love out into the universe. But we do have to come into that reconciled energy within. It's not just love of two people. It is the reconciliation of the energy of the inner divine masculine and feminine energies. And so this reinforces the journey isn't about finding another. It is about returning to self, returning to oneness. We do share a frequency field of truth. We do share a frequency field of spiritual love. And when we get to the place of no opposite or no polarity, then we are ready for that union. And so we do have a collective ripple effect of our healing out into the universe. And so the twin pair, when the twin pair steps into union and unconditional love, they do raise the frequency of everybody's lives that they touch. This is what makes the path so painful at times, because it isn't just personal, it's actually planetary. It's so much bigger than just this union between two. The connection itself, it is a vessel. You have to choose love. You have to choose to bless the collective. When you heal that separation energy from within, then you become the beacon of unity without. The union isn't just for you. It is a bridge for others to remember what love truly is. And so I'm going to leave it at that. What a powerful message of truth, healing, and reunion. And so not every twin flame journey is the same. They are all uniquely written. So if you are feeling the pull for more clarity, more direction, more intuitive confirmation, I do offer personalized twin flame and astrology based readings tailored to your soul path, your divine counterpart, your current transits, all of that good stuff. So if you would like to dive deeper into your journey, check out the description box below. You will find the link to my webpage. And for those that are seeking ongoing support and energetic updates about zodiac sign specific messages, I do have a membership space for those that are walking the path of awakening and twin flame. Each week I do exclusive zodiac based soul guidance messages to help you align with the energies. I do connect it to the astrology. It helps you navigate your spiritual journey with insight and clarity. So join the channel membership if you want to get those weekly energy readings for all 12 signs. And I do, like I said, include the astrology and tarot breakdowns tied to the current transit. So become a member and stay energetically aligned every step of the day. Every step of the day, every step of the way. But join me over on the other side. Have a great weekend, everybody. I will see you again next time.